This should all work. So here we go. That's seawall.
On the evening of February the 4th, 2014, devastation hit Dawlish Sea Wall when a horrendous storm blew in, smashing the sea wall and collapsing the main railway line and infrastructure, including domestic properties. This severed the rail link between Exeter and Penzance, with the most severe consequences to passenger and freight transport for 56 days. An £80 million budget was awarded to restore the infrastructure, the first task being to restore services to the West Country. A labour force of 80 skilled workers were deployed who worked round the clock to restore the infrastructure and refurbish the station. The great day arrived on April the 4th, 2014, when the main task was completed and the network was handed back to Network Rail to restore services. Trains began to run again between Exeter and Penzance. From this fantastic recovery, there was much discussion, public consultation, and very intensive design investigation on the steps to be taken on the design and resilience of the new sea walls to the west and the east of Dawlish Station. When all the many problems and complaints and design was solved, construction work proceeded at a remarkable rate. The construction of these walls was done using many hundreds of precast wave-return concrete sections designed to throw heavy waves back into the sea. These were all installed with the aid of very heavy-duty precision machines. Time seemed to pass very quickly, but still, working around the clock, it was a remarkable feat of engineering that the first wall was completed in 2020 and the second in 2022. With the aid of safety screens, limited access to the promenade was now possible again. The promenade from the colonnade to Boat Cove in the westerly direction was 400 metres long and was named as King's Walk by a monarch many years ago. Due to the poor condition of the soil on the seaside of the station building, earth borings were necessary to secure a firm base for construction of the necessary supporting walls. To achieve this, a new, unique, self-contained working platform called the Wave Walker was towed in. This was capable of walking along the seabed and stopping to drill to a considerable depth and insert the necessary tubes and concrete footings for precast wave-return concrete wallings to be installed. Once the station section was completed, the next attention to the sea walls could continue. This now left a very complex job to join the two sections of the sea wall together with an overhead span adjacent to the railway colonnade. Due to the poor condition of the soil again, considerable piling was necessary to establish the footings for the bridge span. The colonnade was closed to pedestrians for safety reasons, and the only access to King's Walk Promenade was along a parallel road. A large piling machine was brought into action, capable of piling to great depths, so that steel tubes could be inserted and reinforcing rods straightened with care and forced down inside them and subsequently filled with concrete to ground level. Thus, these piles created very firm footings for the support pillars for the bridge to be constructed. The brook, which flows through Dawlish and discharges into the sea, was in the way of progress and had to be diverted while a new stilling basin was constructed. To create these pillars, many reinforcing bars were formed into accurate shapes and placed accurately to the previously cast footings parallel to the seawall ends. With extensive shuttering, the pillars were cast by pumping concrete into the voids in stages over several days. Eventually, with shuttering removed, the pillars were all complete. Many scaffolds beneath where the span bridge was to be formed were erected. Above and supporting these were closely laid many old steel joists, reinforcing bars and extensive shuttering, ready for pumping in concrete to form the connecting bridge span, adjoining together the ends of the two sea walls. Allowing time for the concrete to set, shuttering and scaffolds were removed, and the bridge span was thus complete. After erecting safety screens, the colonnade was partly reopened, giving access to the promenade again. New leisure areas were created, and all walkways were covered with over 140,000 granite blocks. Several chunks of the old seawall were saved to act as seats. Even an engraved memorial was made to the old Coast Guard building, which had to be demolished. Finally, on Thursday, the 25th of May, 2023, the screens were finally removed. Those waiting anxiously climbed the new staircase to reach the new bridge, then able to admire the new facilities below, created by Bam Nuttall for the public, including our local MP, to enjoy for many years to come. After 9 years, it is now possible to walk the 1.6 miles along the refurbished promenade, starting from Corriton Cove in the west, past Boat Cove, and then on to the newly constructed King's Walk. Then past the Grade 2 listed and refurbished Great Western Railway Station. Thence onto the refurbished original upgraded sea wall, which is now side by side to the main line railway. This is a long section that leads to the old narrow pathway through to the relatively new seawall defences for Dawlish Warren, a spot so popular with visitors. The pathway now leads onto the eastern end of the promenade walk with full holiday facilities for locals and visitors alike. That's it.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Fabulous. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
That must contain. Do you know how many photos, the single shot photos, are included in that AV, Ernie? I've never asked you that question. Must be hundreds of them, and hundreds, I should imagine. It must have been also quite difficult putting it together in kind of trying to show the story of what went in the construction and all the rest of it.
Yes.
Not have it on too long that people like me would get bored looking at a wave walker or something.
Well, the pictures told the story, really.
Yeah.
It didn't need a lot of voiceover, which is just as well, because my voice isn't all that it should have been.
I thought it was wonderful. And as you say, the pictures told the story. And what super pictures. I mean, to have the chronological story spelt like that. And I hadn't realized just how complex and how extensive it was. We all saw the dangling rails, didn't we, after the major damage. And as you said in your AV, Ernie, it's remarkable that that line was reinstated so quickly. That was an engineering achievement. It really was. But I hadn't appreciated. I'm now incentivized to go for that long walk because I've only seen it from the train. So I've seen what's happened and look really impressed. But of course, you see firsthand what the position is if you walk. And what I loved the sort of detail of that, the care that was taken into the moldings and the design, and obviously the engineering knowledge and capability and prowess. But I particularly like the idea of creating seats out of the old stone. I thought that was a very nice touch. I thought that was lovely, and I wasn't aware of that at all, Ernie. So you've done us a real favour in showing us first what happened.
In the AV was the fact that in time when the dust had settled, the Bam Nuttall and well, particularly Bam Nuttall, received a special award from the civil engineering bigwigs, whoever they are. But it was very well appreciated and very well deserved, really.
Well, they certainly deserve that. I think it's an engineering triumph. It really, really was.
Yeah. I think it's quite impressive too, that to the extent that they tried to keep informed about what was going on, but also to sort of get one way or another access to as much of it as possible. I thought that was very good too.
Yes, I thought that was great. Yes, yeah.